Alright, so the WWE Draft is coming up soon, and I thought it would be great to go ahead and do a few predictions on who I think might be drafted. I do have this in order of what I think maybe draft picks would be, but I mean, these are just people in general that I think would be drafted. Some people I put in places for that reason to draft that place, and then some people were just I threw in there. So I'm gonna do 10 for each. So I figured since it's going to be Smackdown, it's going to be on Smackdown. The draft is going to be taking place on Smackdown. I figured Smackdown would get the first pick. Don't have a prediction on who the GM is going to be. I'm thinking probably Shane, but it could be Stephanie. They could bring somebody else in. I don't know when it comes to who's the GM, but here's who I think would be the first draft pick. Now, I put this person here as the first draft pick to kind of bring some buzz to Smackdown going live. He's a big name that they could put in there to try to make people want to watch SmackDown, and I know the IWC won't agree with me, but I'm putting as the number one pick for SmackDown John Cena. I think they put John Cena in there, and since it'll be basically a new brand, they're gonna build around him. So I don't know if they directly give him a title, because I do think they'll bring back the World Heavyweight title. I believe it's already kind of been leaked that they're bringing it back. I think that you put the world title on him at the beginning. I don't mean just give it to him, maybe in a tournament or something, but he has the title at the beginning to sort of give it some sort of prestige, because like it or not, when Cena has a title, it does mean something. He is the poster boy of the brand. Now, it's a little weird to think that he would be on SmackDown because of the fact that he's the face of the company still, but I think they would do that to sort of bring some buzz over to SmackDown and get people wanting to watch it. So that's my first pick. The first pick of the draft and the first pick for SmackDown is John Cena. After that, I would think Raw would go ahead, and you would think that maybe SmackDown would try to take the world champion, the WWE champion, but I think that SmackDown's going to have the new title, which would be the World Heavyweight title. I think Raw's sticking with the WWE championship, so since he's the champion currently and would probably be champion come draft time, I'm going to say Dean Ambrose is number one for Raw, sticking on Raw with the WWE championship. He'll be keeping the title, obviously, at the beginning. I'm not saying that they're going to build the company around him, but he's got the title right now. And they got a feud going on right now that's going on to. They already got a match set for Battleground, which will come into my draft later. So he's holding on to the title, and So for pick number 2 on SmackDown side, I figured they're sort of in a feud, Cena with this guy, and I figured it would be great to put him on SmackDown. Like, same thing with Cena being on SmackDown. They're going to be trying to get some eyes on SmackDown, because I'm pretty sure not a whole lot of people still watch SmackDown. I'm sure there's a good bit that do. I know I don't. I'm pretty sure I know some people that don't. I'm sure there's plenty of people that don't, because it's not that great. It's really just a redigested, regurgitated Raw. They're just showing you what happened on Raw mostly. But since they're trying to make it new, trying to make it fresh, you got Cena. You're gonna build the brand around, trying to get some eyes on there. I'm gonna say that number 2 pick for SmackDown is AJ Styles. I think they're gonna put him on there. He's in a feud with Cena right now, anyway, so you got to keep that going. And you kind of have them feud for a little bit longer. And he'd be a great person to put the world title on at some point. Maybe even take it off of Cena. Maybe take it before Cena and build the brand around him, But, I'm going to say AJ Styles is pick number 2 for SmackDown. And we're going to move over here to Raw. I'm saying Raw's second pick is going to be Seth Rollins. Now, the reason being is that obviously before he got injured, they were really high on Seth Rollins. He's in the triple threat with Dean Ambrose. And I think he's still going to be chasing the title for a little bit longer. So I say keep him on there, because he's having amazing matches. And you don't want to take all the big names over to SmackDown, because then you got no reason to watch Raw. So I think Rollins stays on Raw. But that would be my number 2 pick. Now, like I said, some of these people, Cena and Ambrose, were put number 1 for the reasons I gave. Cena to build the brand SmackDown around, and Ambrose because he's the champion and you want to keep your champion on Raw. But the rest of these could pretty much be interchangeable with their spots. As far as keeping them on their brands, this is where I think they would stay on their brands. But like I said, they're interchangeable with spots 2 through 10, because at that point it really doesn't matter how I have it laid out. So, yeah, we got Rollins, number 2 pick for Raw. So back to SmackDown with the number 3 pick. I'm going to say that SmackDown's going to take The Miz. They're going to take Miz over to SmackDown. That's going to take the IC title over to SmackDown. So SmackDown will have the World Heavyweight and the Intercontinental title over on SmackDown. I already said that, but I said it again. So, yeah, I think that those are the 2 singles titles that'll be on SmackDown. Miz stays champion, at least for the beginning. Maybe at some point drop it to somebody, but as of right now, he's keeping it on over to SmackDown. He's taking it to SmackDown with him. And that brings us to our number 3 pick for Raw. And I'm going to say it's going to be Rusev, keeping the U.S. title on Raw. Obviously, you could probably guess that the fact that the IC title's going to SmackDown, that the other Raw single title would have to be the U.S. title. And I think he keeps it on Raw. I know a lot of people have been saying that they should maybe give it back to Cena because he did such a great job with the open challenge thing. But they could do that with virtually anybody if they wanted to redo that whole storyline. I mean, you just got to give them the title and let them put it online every week. So I think Rusev keeps it for the beginning, at least, and obviously drops it at some point. But for the beginning, he keeps it. That would put our singles titles are in place. We got Raw has the WWE Championship and the United States Championship. SmackDown has the World Heavyweight Championship and the Intercontinental Championship. And now we're over to SmackDown for pick number 4. I thought about this one, and I figured it would probably be great because our number 2 draft pick was AJ Styles, and I'm going to say number 4 is going to be the Club. I'm going based off of like the 2002, the first ever draft where they drafted like whole teams. So that's what I was thinking maybe happened this time. I mean, it could be, because even then they split teams up. Now, I didn't put anybody here to split teams up. Maybe to split, I have a couple that might split up as far as a rivalry is concerned, but not to split teams. I don't think splitting teams is a good thing to do right now, at least for most teams. But I say the Club, both of them, Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows or Luke Gallows over on SmackDown along with AJ Styles to continue the feud with John Cena. Now for number 4 on Raw, I say that they're gonna draft the New Day, all 3 of them, as their number 4 draft picks, sort of like the NWO was done in 2002. We're gonna have the New Day stay on Raw. That would keep the tag titles on Raw. Now I didn't really take this into account, but I don't know if they're gonna split the tag titles or what. It seems like they're wanting to be completely on its own, like each brand on its own like it used to be. So, yeah, they would probably split the tag titles. I don't know who you would give the titles to on the other brand. But, I mean, I guess the Club, as far as my 10 for each, the Club is the only, like, just 2-person tag team that I have on SmackDown, if that's a spoiler. I have some more on Raw, but not on SmackDown. But as far as these 10 that I've got here, which now that I'm looking at it, I could probably have changed some, thinking about other tag teams that could have went to SmackDown, but these are just the 10, my first 10 for each. So that being said, we move on to SmackDown's 5 pick, and in the 5 slot, I say that SmackDown's gonna draft the Wyatt family. And that is all 4 of the Wyatt family. And seeing as Luke Harper's hurt, they probably would keep him out of it. So it would be 3. It would be Bray, Eric, and Braun Strowman. And then later you could have Luke Harper try to get back on SmackDown, but maybe he's not able to. The Raw takes his contract. I don't know. You could do some storyline with it when he comes back. But the Wyatt family over to SmackDown. Now we're on to the number 5 pick for Raw, and this is going to tie back into my first 2 picks for Raw, and it's going to be Roman Reigns. He's in that feud. They're pushing him hard. Now, the same reason I said Cena being the number 1 pick on SmackDown to build the brand around, I think right now they got Dean Ambrose as champion. They're going to have Seth Rollins chasing champion. Like I said, Roman Reigns is also in that feud, but I think later on down the line, they're gonna build after Roman comes back from his suspension. They're gonna build the brand around Roman. So your two major players of each brand, top guys, are gonna be John Cena and Roman Reigns because they're pushing him hard. They want him to. It sort of seems like they're trying to make him the New Day John Cena. So that's my logic, is to have them on separate brands so they could be built that way. So, moving on, SmackDown's number 6 pick is Charlotte. I'm going to say that she's going to have the title, move over to SmackDown. SmackDown's going to have the WWE Women's Championship over there. So that would put SmackDown with the Women's Championship and Raw without it. Now, I don't know if they're going to do two separate women's championships or what. I don't really think that's a smart idea right now. I think have SmackDown be the mainly women's over there. Like it used to be, Raw had the women's title, so Raw had most of the divas. So I think you do that, but with SmackDown having a majority of the women this time. And maybe bring back the Cruiserweight title for Raw, or just not having a fourth title. Either way works. I mean, it really doesn't. It's not that big of a deal. Moving on, number 6 for Raw is another tag team. I say we do the Vaudevillains over there. I don't even know why I put the Vaudevillains on Raw, to be honest, over anybody else. I just did. I guess because right now they're kind of doing stuff for the tag titles, aren't they? I'm kind of regretting this pick now, but I've already said it now. So Vaudevillains on Raw. I think I could have probably subbed in another team for them too, to be honest. Maybe the Dudleys or Enzo and Cass, but I don't know why I did Vaudevillains. Thinking about it now, it doesn't make sense, but oh well, I've already said it. So, moving on, number 7 for SmackDown. I say SmackDown's going to take Randy Orton. Now, that puts Cena and Orton on the same thing, and that's big names there, but I think that's where they're going to go with it. I think they're going to put Orton on there. We're going to have 2 million more Randy Orton versus John Cena matches. But I'd say they put him on SmackDown. He was on SmackDown for a long time in previous drafts. So, I mean, you could probably throw him on Raw and interchange it. But I say they're going to put him on SmackDown so he can feud with Cena. Obviously, he's going to be feuding with Styles at some point. Now, I should point out that I only have people on my lists here that are sort of permanent. So like the Brock Lesnar's, the Triple H's, the Rocks, stuff like that. Undertaker, I didn't include them even though they're probably eligible to be drafted. I didn't include them because of the fact that they're not going to be there every week. So it really isn't that big of a deal what brand they're on. You know, they're not going to be there every week, so there's no point in tying them to a brand. So, yeah. None of the quote part-timers, you know. Moving on. Number 7 for Raw is the Usos. I think the Usos are going to be chasing titles. Probably will win them a couple times, but like obviously right now they're kind of, I don't even know what the Usos are in a feud on, are they? Are they in a feud right now? Who are they in a feud with? Who's been... Oh, they did a thing with Seth Rollins, right? Because he was talking about Roman Reigns being suspended or whatever. So, yeah, put them on there with, you need somebody to cover Roman Reigns' back, you know. So, Samoan Pride or whatever. Number 8 for SmackDown is Sasha Banks. I think you got to put Sasha Banks on there and have her fight Charlotte 100 million times. But like I said, it's mostly going to be probably women on SmackDown. But that doesn't mean all the women are going to SmackDown. But I think it's going to be mostly women on SmackDown because that's where I'm saying the title's going to be. So I think Sasha Banks deserves to get drafted over to SmackDown to have multiple matches. Now, this is just my top 10 for each. So, like I said, stuff can be changed out. Most of these could be interchangeable on spots except for my number ones. I specifically placed the number ones in those spots for the reasons that I said. So, yeah, we're going to move on to number 8 for Raw. I lost my place there for a minute. Number 8 for Raw. I'm going to say it's going to be Alberto Del Rio. He's they're doing a lot with him. to be honest. I think they're doing a lot with him still. I haven't been watching Raw that much. I think they're still doing quite a bit with him. They were. I just think they're gonna he'd be a good spot on Raw, maybe to go for the U.S. title again, but even then go for the WWE title. So I think a good spot for him would be on Raw. So yeah, my number 9 pick for SmackDown would be, I think Kevin Owens is great to go over to SmackDown. I think it's great that if they have the World Heavyweight title, it's perfect. It'll be a newer championship. He can vie for it more. He'd probably have a higher chance at getting it over there than he would if he was on Raw going for the WWE title. I don't know why. I'm sure like Vince would think as whatever title comes to SmackDown, World Heavyweight title, I'm sure he's going to think of it as lesser than the WWE title. So Owens being on SmackDown, he'd have a higher chance to have that like main singles title run over being on Raw getting the WWE title. That's just what I'm thinking. So yeah, my number 9 for Raw. Now, I said I wasn't splitting up teams, and earlier I put in people on the same brands because of Battleground matches and feuds that they're in. But I'm going to split a feud up that's going to be happening at Battleground right here, right now. You just heard SmackDown pick from me was Kevin Owens. I'm saying that the Raw pick, number 9, is Sami Zayn because they've had 2 billion matches already. And they're great all the time, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, but I think it's about time to split them up and let them do separate things. Maybe at some point, I'm sure after a year they'll have a redraft or whatever like they used to do, and they all end up on the same brand and do it all over again. But what I'm saying is, as of right now, we're splitting them up. Sami Zayn goes on to Raw. Kevin Owens is on SmackDown. They split and do their own little things after the Battleground match. And now for our final pick of SmackDown, I have decided to put Cesaro in that final slot, number 10. I think he'd be great talent over on SmackDown, going for the IC title. I think he should probably win it pretty early after the draft from The Miz to be champion. I think he deserves a championship to see if he can bring some prestige back. I know it's that said every time somebody we like gets a title, but I think he might be able to bring a little bit more prestige back to the IC title. And, maybe even get a world title run, you never know. And on to Raw, number 10 spot. I threw him on there just because I know he's going to get drafted on the show on SmackDown on the 19th because for some reason, WWE just loves him so much. Number 10 for Raw is Sheamus. They love him so much, they push him like crazy. So number 10 for them is for me for the Raw is Sheamus. To be honest, I could care less if he got fired, but that's just what I'm saying because they push him so hard and they love him. So there you go. So let's go down our lists again. Let's reiterate: the SmackDown 10 are John Cena, AJ Styles, The Miz, The Club, The Wyatt Family, Charlotte, Randy Orton, Sasha Banks, Kevin Owens, and Cesaro. And the Raw 10 are Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Rusev, The New Day, Roman Reigns, The Vaudevillains, The Usos, Alberto Del Rio, Sami Zayn, and Sheamus. And that's what I think is going to happen in the 2016 draft. You guys let me know down in the comments. Like, subscribe, share, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.
The end is here.